Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, how the Hedonic Treadmill costs you money.
You're overwhelmed, so much to do, it seems like such a mess. If only you had coaches who could bring you big success. Bring you big success. So lean right in, learn how to win. Entrepreneur nurturing, tips to be your best. With a professor and Mary-Lynn for your big success.
The Hedonic Treadmill.
What in the world are we going? Where are we going with this?
Well, I don't know, but we'll have to see if it's an uphill run, huh?
Okay, yeah.
So what is it? It's a behavioral, we'll talk more in detail, but just to get you a general idea, it's a behavioral finance concept that kind of helps us understand how our happiness flows as we make spending decisions.
All right. And so today's show, we will explain what it is and explain how to avoid it, right?
Exactly right.
And this is inspired by an article by Jackie Lamb on the Quicken Loans site.
And my name is George Kruger. I'm also known as the Professor.
And I am his faithful assistant, Mary-Lynn.
Also known as Mary-Lynn. Mary-Lynn, one thing that I just want to point out real quickly to our audience is Warren Buffett really gets this concept and he uses it. This is part of what's made him a billionaire investor in stocks, by understanding this concept.
Oh, and, we just talked about Warren Buffett and the key to his investing success, essentially,
and
in our last show.
what he said was the best investment strategy for non-financial types.
Right. So you might want to check that out for sure. So now, Warren Buffett, in this case, what's this about?
Well, the point is, the same concepts, in a way, this whole idea of people and how they behave is rooted in this concept. And we're going to talk more about that. But to help people understand where this is coming from, or maybe kind of the manifestation of this hedonic treadmill. Because, you can picture a treadmill, but what the heck's a hedonic treadmill? I mean, I've never heard of that brand of treadmill before.
I have not either, no.
Well, so the point is, have you ever found yourself, you suddenly making more money? You're like, well, all right, now we're really going to be able to save. No.
I'll be able to get ahead now.
What happens?
With that. Oftentimes you end up spending more money.
Spend more money.
You got more money to spend now, right?
Exactly. And so why does that happen? Well, to understand that, I'll just give you a quick little lesson here on
the hedonic treadmill?
Well, actually just kind of the history of kind of economics and how this applies. So back in the day, economists thought that we were all, quote, rational actors. We always do the smartest thing. Okay.
When it comes to our money?
Yes.
Okay.
Logically, we always do the logical thing, is what I should say. We always do the logical thing.
Meaning what? I get a raise. I save. What?
Sure. Yes. That would be one manifestation of it.
Okay.
So the point is, along came this group of people who said, no. People are not always rational. Now, we at times may act irrationally. And this is really Warren Buffett's secret in investing. He says, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. He goes against kind of the human nature, okay? Mm-hmm. He's a behavioral finance person is the way that this is described. And that's simply the place where economics and psychology meet. And this hedonic treadmill is kind of part of this science, this behavioral finance science.
Is the hedonic treadmill our rational side? What is it?
Well, yes, it's showing that at times we make irrational decisions in the pursuit of happiness, or hedonism would mean pleasure, mm-hmm. But we're trying to pursue pleasure or pursue happiness, and in so doing, we at times will make irrational purchases.
So I don't really have the money to buy this right now, but you know what? I've got some room on the card and I'd really like to get this.
Exactly. Yes. So we rationalize our decisions, even though they may not be the best decision at the time.
Okay. So that's the psychological behavior. What does that have to do with, what is the hedonic treadmill then?
Okay. So the hedonic treadmill basically says something, and I'll kind of give, this is our own definition of this.
Summary of it.
So the hedonic treadmill, this theory, this concept suggests that any happiness that we gain from a new thing, I'll put that in quotes, any happiness we gain from a new thing quickly reverts back to its original place. So in other words, we're kind of running in place in terms of happiness.
Okay, so
That's what this predicts.
So I go ahead and I really want that. I probably shouldn't get it, but I've got room on the card, so I go ahead and get it. I feel pretty good because I know this is going to come when it arrives at the doorstep. I'm like, hey, sounds like I've been on this treadmill. So it arrives. I'm like,
are we in the confessional, Mary-Lynn?
I've got this new thing. I've got it.
Yes.
And then the joy after this new thing, after the newness wears off.
After we open it up and realize the box is more fun than the toy itself.
Well, generally not, but I'm not going to feel that joy and anticipation again until I buy something else.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the treadmill.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got it.
So what's the result of the hedonic treadmill?
Well, so
overspending, because
yes,
I keep seeking
exactly.
that.
That's why we got to be concerned about it, right? And of course, knowledge helps us be aware of these things so that we don't make the mistakes that these things are explaining. Okay, mm-hmm. So just like you've already pretty much set it up, but like just picture you've got that old TV. Now, 2 years ago, that TV was the new TV, mm-hmm. but now you've got an old TV because there's a bigger screen TV out there now.
Right.
And so that old TV is boring. Mm-hmm. It's just been sitting there for a couple years. It doesn't thrill you anymore. But boy, this big TV with that, or this new TV with that big screen, now that's exciting.
And all the updated features.
Yes, and the interesting thing is about we humans hate change. We often talk about entrepreneurship and how to think like an entrepreneur and actually come to love change because that's where the opportunities are. But in this particular case, we love change in this case because it represents something that we're initiating ourselves. And self-initiated change is something that excites us. It spikes us up on that hedonic treadmill. What happens, though, is since we come back to kind of, let's just call it normal mm-hmm. or stable, our stable level of happiness, the psychologists call this the set point. We come back to that set point, and what happens is now we got to spend more. Come back to set point, spend more. Come back to set point, spend more. And what happens is we end up with lifestyle creep. Our wants quickly become needs.
Because we have to constantly fulfill the want?
Yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it leads to overspending.
Well, then we need to avoid this at all costs.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Exactly.
Because, this you can't just keep spending money. You have to, you can't be irrational. It's being irrational.
There are things that we should be irrational about or emotional, let's use that word about, like, setting our goals. We should be emotional about that. There should be a why there. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about execution, not the planning stage, but the execution stage. And we have to be aware that we can experience this lifestyle creep if we're not careful.
Well, and I would just say that we're tempted so much today. I mean, there's there's so many gadgets that mm-hmm. we need. It seems like we need in our lives. Mm-hmm. From the smartphone to all of the things that go with the smartphone to mm-hmm. Just technology. Really, yes. I'm just kind of a technology geek.
Yes, you are.
But to the things that we use on our technology, mm-hmm. from the music to the mm-hmm. books. So, there's just all these things that feel like people are really tempted all the time, probably more than in the past, to purchase and to get that happiness.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think here's a little bonus tip for you on that. An interesting experiment for yourself to try is simply the following. Take a device, be it your cell phone or let's say your oven, and try not to use it for a whole weekend or a whole week.
No, I'm out.
Or something. Well, the point is, though, you could quickly start. So TV, we won't use the TV for a weekend. Okay, what else could we do? Well, we could go, we could play games as a family. We could read more. There's all kinds. We could go to the library. We could go see this thing or whatever. There's all kinds of things that we might do. And I think sometimes we get so locked into our routines and also into the device that thing ends up kind of limiting the exposure that we may get to things that we may find very, very joyful. And keeps us chained
to the hedonic treadmill.
Precisely.
So that's one way to avoid getting stuck on the treadmill is to break out of routines.
Exactly.
What are some other ways? We've got 5 here. That was one.
Here's one, and that is to find joy, just small purchases. Find joy in the small purchases, the little things. And I'll give you an example of this that applies to us. We're talking about things where the cost is insignificant over time. It doesn't cost that much, but it creates so much more happiness. And that is like on the weekends, during the week, we drink regular, Folgers type coffee. Now, that's good. But on the weekends, we spice it up with ground flavored coffee. But the thing is, if we had it every day, it wouldn't be special.
Right.
But we have it on the weekends. And so it's like, and with us, we work a lot. We love our work. But,
it's that fun little weekend treat.
Exactly.
And it doesn't cost that much for us.
It costs next to nothing. I mean, incrementally, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so look for small ways, small purchases to find joy. That's 2. What's another way to avoid getting stuck on the hedonic treadmill?
Well, the next one we'll talk about is don't compare up. We have a tendency, and studies show this, we have a tendency not to compare ourselves to others, like in our peer group. We compare ourselves to people who are making way more than us. And boy, talk about a recipe for unhappiness.
How do you know that? You don't really know that, do you?
Well,
I think sometimes because of social media, you tend to think that, maybe they have more money than me, maybe they don't, but or they go on vacations more than me, so they must have more money than me, but you don't really have an idea of how much more.
No, and as a matter of fact, Mary-Lynn, what's interesting is we don't know, but they make a lot more money is what you said, or they have a lot more money than me. Well, actually, in many cases, they have more debt than you. That's the thing to think about. You don't know how they funded all this.
Yeah, that's possible. Unless they're good money managers and they,
Sure, and that certainly can be the case that people who have managed their money for, a period of time, not just, 1 month or something, but for a period of time, for some years, could accumulate enough assets to get to the point where that lifestyle is really amazing. But in many cases, if not most cases, what you find is if you really dig into the finances, if you were able to, there's a whole lot of debt there. And that's what's fueling the lifestyle.
Well, there's, all sorts of reasons why not to compare yourself to other people, but don't compare.
Especially celebrities.
All right, yeah. All right, and so what's another way to avoid getting stuck on the hedonic treadmill?
Okay, the next one is invest in relationships. This is obvious, right? I mean, just time with family and friends. Studies show, that spending time with family and friends helps us live longer. It is priceless. And the thing is, it's that different kind of happiness that doesn't tend to have a reversion back to kind of some preset normal. This level of happiness or this kind of happiness can grow along with the relationship.
Right. This is true happiness. And then finally, number 5.
I love this saying, do more good. Just do more good. Give your money. I don't have any money. Okay, give your time. Precious. It's even more precious than money. But find ways to give to others who maybe are more unfortunate than you.
Get your happiness by giving.
Yes. And so, use your gifts as a gift. And that leads to big success.
All right. And that brings us to today's big takeaway.
Don't look for happiness in your wallet.
Oh, jeez.
You just won't find it there. I looked and looked and looked. Happiness was gone in my wallet. I just can't find it.
All right. One thing that can bring more happiness is to really embrace the abundance that you already have.
Absolutely.
And we've got our free abundance mindset kit that you should absolutely snag while it is still available for free. It comes with an ebook, audiobook, cheat sheets, and a whole lot more. You can sign up for our Big Success Abundant Living System at Big Success, that's big with 2 G's, success.com.
And we thank you so much for listening today.
Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Tips to be your best with a professor and Mary-Lynn for your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.